Good day, everyone. I'm Ethan, moderator for this webinar. Welcome everyone for today's webinar. HHS mandatory email and text message encryption rules with only one exception for informed patients. I would now like to introduce our presenter for today, Paul R. Hales. Paul R. Hales, JD, is widely recognized for his ability to explain HIPAA rules clearly in plain language. I would now like to hand over the floor to the speaker. Over to you, Paul.
Thank you, Ethan, and welcome to everyone. And thanks very much for spending your time with me today. We're going to talk about the fact that emails and text messages that contain protected health information and are sent by HIPAA-covered entities, healthcare providers, health plans, or on their behalf by business associates must be encrypted, and I'm going to explain why. There is an exception, and it is also mandatory, and it's an exception for informed patients. It's mandatory to encrypt emails and text messages that have protected health information, and also why it's important to do that and what the exception is. And I'm going to explain that in some detail. Let's take a look at what we're going to talk about today. What is our agenda? I'm going to start with an overview and some key takeaways. And these are really the reasons why it's important to pay attention to why is it important to learn the information that I'm going to present. And in that overview, I'll start with one slide that really is the bottom line that we will explain throughout the webinar, and also why it's really important to encrypt the emails and text messages. And I want to mention some of the temptations that are distracting people from understanding or even considering that emails and text messages, things like appointment reminders to patients, either should be encrypted or there is a very special procedure for you as a covered entity, if you're a healthcare provider, for example, or health plan, or if you are a business associate and you provide patient engagement tools for healthcare covered entities. And those are really the HIPAA rules for email and text messaging. And in order to discuss these, there are three terms that I really need to explain, and explain in the way that HIPAA explains them. So HIPAA has some very specific definitions for the terms that are important for this webinar. And then we'll get to the real heart of it, and that is a three-step safeguard. And you see on the screen, duty to warn in dark letters with quotation marks around it. Well, let me assure you that the duty to warn is not as ominous as it may seem from just looking at it. But those quotation marks are actually were put there by the regulators, the Office for Civil Rights, the office within the Department of Health and Human Services that administers and enforces the HIPAA rules with respect to protecting the privacy and security of patient protected health information. And there is another law that is relevant to text messaging of healthcare information, and that's called the TCPA, the Telephone Consumer Protection Act. And there was a blockbuster Supreme Court decision, a unanimous Supreme Court decision in April of 2021 that really made some relatively drastic changes in the way we understand the effect of that law, Telephone Consumer Protection Act, on healthcare text messaging. And I'm going to explain where the what the basis is, where the law is that explains why you must encrypt emails and text messages with protected health information, with that exception that is created by the duty to warn. In fact, patients have a right to receive and to communicate with their healthcare providers using just regular standard email and text messaging. And finally, we'll talk about some tips for enterprise-wide compliance with this, with the information that we'll be presenting in this webinar. So I need to give you a quick alert, some things that have just that are going on right now. This year, there will be a modification to the HIPAA privacy rule. There are 4 rules, and they are the enforcement rule, the breach notification rule, the security rule, and the privacy rule. And the privacy rule is the fundamental HIPAA rule because that's the rule that explains how you may use and disclose protected health information with or without an authorization. So it's about fundamentals, and really the steps are easy to follow step by step. Encrypt all emails and text messages except when you follow the 3-step safeguard and it's documented for patients. And then here's your form. So I wish you well. Thank you for your time.
So thank you everyone for participating. You all may disconnect now. Thank you for your patience and the collaboration with us. And thank you everyone. You all may disconnect now. You all have a great day ahead.
You're most welcome. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.